The US let Japan keep Taiwan after World War II? No. What happened is Taiwan was still under occupation of Japan at the end of World War II, and then the US ordered Japan to hand it over to the fascists. In World War II, there was a civil war happening in China between communists and nationalist fascists. When Japan invaded, the fascists and the Chinese communists set aside their fight. They temporarily suspended the civil war, and they allied to fight against Japan. In World War II, the communists were the far more effective resistance fighters against Japan. And so they gained a lot of reputation and prestige among Chinese peasants and the people and the masses of China. After World War II ended with Japanese defeat, Taiwan was still under the occupied power of Japan, and it was handed directly to the fascist nationalists. And many of the collaborators with Japan became virulent anti-communists, both in South Korea and in China. Eventually, the communists were able to defeat the fascist nationalists in the Civil War, and at the very last act, under U.S. Navy supervision, fled to Taiwan. And so basically the United States sailed their navy in the Taiwan Strait, pointed their guns at the communists and said, you're not able to end this, you're not able to invade Taiwan and end this civil war. And the KMT, the people of Taiwan, they said, we're the real China. This is the Republic of China. We're the real China. And in the United Nations, Taiwan sat on the Security Council as China for decades. So you had the government of China with 1.1 billion people was not treated as the real government of the mainland, but an exile government on the island of Taiwan, superintended by the U.S. Navy, and a military dictatorship under martial law. And they exterminated over 100,000 leftists and indigenous Taiwanese people. They had a mini little genocide in Taiwan. Make sure that no one would protest their fascist dictatorship. This is called the White Terror of Taiwan, in case you're wondering. Like, everything I'm saying is just historic fact. Nobody talks about this because nobody wants to know. The White Terror was the political repression of Taiwanese civilians and political dissenters under the government ruled by the KMT. The period of White Terror is generally considered to have begun when martial law was declared in Taiwan on 19 May 1949 and ended in 21 September 1992. What year was that again? 1992. Did you know that Taiwan was doing a fucking genocide against leftists? You're a part of your life. So if you ever said, oh man, I love it, I want to support Taiwan, America needs to support Taiwan, did you know? Wanting to consolidate its rule of its remaining territories, the KMT imposed harsh political suppression measures, which included enacting martial law, executing suspected leftists, or those they suspected to be sympathetic toward communists. Executing suspected leftists or suspected sympathizers, which AKA means they killed anyone who wasn't a fascist and was willing to say anything. This is the reality. I mean, martial law for 40 fucking years, man. No rights. This is our ally. This is our democratic ally. 40 years of martial law. Like, come on, man. If you're sitting there and going like, we have to defend democracy in Hong Kong and Taiwan, you're a fucking joke. Could you explain why people say China is capitalist? Because they don't understand political economy. That's why they say that. Everyone in this chat would be executed with their entire families. Exactly. But you'll have people that go, I'm a progressive. That's why they put a Taiwanese flag in their name. 5 minutes of research would tell you that this is not, if you're a progressive or even a liberal, putting Taiwan's flag in your name is an absurdity and an insult to the thousands of people that were murdered. Liberals on Reddit are extremely pro-Taiwan to the point they are upset that Taiwanese companies are coming back to America. What they're really upset about is when these chip companies leave Taiwan and recamp back in America, then the reason and logic for trying to fight a war against China over Taiwan will be largely undermined because it won't be a national security issue for the US anymore. It would just be a purely imperial interest of dominating China. Right now, you could say there is a compelling national security interest in protecting Taiwan, because if China were to invade Taiwan, they could cut the U.S. economy off of advanced microchips, and that would represent a severe threat and blow to the U.S. economy. So right now, that is the main and true national security logic, which is you don't want to give China leverage over the United States. Happy Chinese New Year, Mike. Happy New Year.